Hi, thanks for joining us. I am Zeke with the Eastside Church of Christ in Baytown, Texas. I'm your host for the summary for the Eastside 5 by 5 by 5 Bible reading. This is for the week of March 7th through the 13th, where we will be reading Colossians 1 through 4 and Luke chapter 1. So let's talk about this week's reading. Colossians is one of Paul's prison epistles, and it's got a lot of similarities with the book of Ephesians, which also was written during the same time. The letter to the Colossians was, no doubt, written to combat error that was spreading throughout the church, and Paul quickly gets to the meat of his message, which is Christ's supremacy. After he expresses his thanksgiving for the impact of the gospel among the Colossians, he describes the radical transition from darkness to kingdom, from sinners to redemption. He declares that Christ is not only the image of the invisible God, he is the means by which all things were created and continue to hold together. Even more, Jesus is the great reconciler, bringing humankind together through his suffering on the cross. Colossians 2 makes plain how important spiritual maturity is, as Paul warns about the competing philosophies which exist in the world, while also emphasizing the fact that the law of Moses has been nailed to the cross. Neither is true religion found in asceticism, so-called visions, or angel worship. They may make a person look religious, but they have no real spiritual value. Colossians 3 urges Paul's readers to set your mind, as he puts it, on higher things than the philosophies of this world. This high mindset will motivate one to renounce sin, to seek closer relationships with others, while allowing Christ's word to direct us in all of life's roles, whether spouse, child, parent, worker, or master. Colossians 4 urges wise behavior towards outsiders, whether it be in word or deed, in order to use every opportunity to attract them to Christ. And as he prepares to close the letter, Paul introduces Tychicus, who apparently delivered the letter, and he sends greetings from various brethren, wishing the best for the Colossians, as well as exhorting Archippus, who may have been the preacher in Colossae, to fulfill his ministry. As we get into the Gospel of Luke, Luke's Gospel is a magnificent portrayal of Jesus' humanity. In fact, it begins before Jesus was even born, with the announcement and the arrival of John, who would later become the one we know as John the Baptizer. The prophetic announcement of John's birth ties together prophecies from Isaiah and Malachi to firm up the fact that everything is according to God's plan. Luke reports the joy of two kinswomen, Elizabeth, who is John's mother, and Mary, who will soon have a child of her own, of course, Jesus, whose coming was also foretold by the prophets and tied to the lineage of David in verse 27. When Jesus' birth is announced, Mary not only goes off to go see her relative Elizabeth, after that she breaks into this beautiful exclamation of praise. After all, what an honor Mary would have. There's a lot to consider in this week's reading, and we hope that you get that opportunity to read, to reflect, and to pray. We'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. God bless you.